Ladies and gentlemen, there comes a moment in every person's life when they are faced with a choice not between right or wrong, but between standing still and moving forward. The secret lies in how we approach the decision itself. What if I told you that the key to greatness, fulfillment, and success is to act as if every decision you make is a step toward your destiny, because it is. We don't get to know the outcome before we begin. Life doesn't hand us guarantees, but what we do have is the power to decide, to act, and to believe that every move we make can build momentum. Every choice you make is either a brick in the foundation of your future or a weight that holds you where you are. This isn't about being perfect. It's about being intentional. It's about refusing to drift. People don't succeed by accident. They succeed because they decide to move, and they do so with purpose. So the question becomes, how would you behave if you believed that every decision mattered? Would you hesitate? Would you second, guess yourself, or would you stand tall, lift your chin, and choose boldly? Because the person who treats each decision as a tool to propel forward begins to see life not as a series of obstacles, but as a staircase. Each step, even the small ones, raise them higher. Imagine the possibilities if every thought, every action, every word you speak had the weight of forward movement behind it. How would you carry yourself? How would you show up in the world? You'd move with conviction. You'd speak with clarity. You'd lead yourself before you ever try to lead anyone else. You see, the ones who rise are not the ones who wait to see the road clear. They are the ones who act as if the path was already leading somewhere great, because it is. When you move with purpose, life starts to follow your lead. So today, make the choice not just to act, but to act as if every decision propels you forward, and soon you'll look back and realize you were right. Let's talk about decisions, not just the big ones, but the ones we brush past, the ones we think don't matter. Most people walk through life believing they only need to get the major things right. Choose the right career, pick the right partner, invest at the right time, but let me tell you something. It's not the big choices that determine where you end up. It's the small ones, the quiet ones, the ones no one sees, because every decision you make, yes, every single one, either plants a seed for your future or leaves the soil of your life barren. You don't stumble into a strong, successful life. You build it one decision at a time. And if you ever find yourself wondering why some people seem to gain momentum while others stay stuck, look at their daily decisions. The ones who rise, the ones who create something meaningful, are not waiting for a dramatic opportunity. They're making seemingly ordinary choices with extraordinary purpose. They understand something powerful, that each decision is not just a reaction to the present moment, but a vote for the kind of future they want to live in. When you wake up and decide to invest time in your personal growth rather than scroll through your phone, that's a vote. When you choose to speak with kindness instead of reacting in anger, that's a vote. When you make the call you've been avoiding, when you show up early, when you stay consistent even when no one is watching, each of these is a decision, and each one counts. The future doesn't arrive fully formed. It doesn't crash down like thunder. It rises quietly from the small, consistent decisions we make every day. The man or woman you're becoming is crafted in these moments. And if you treat them like they matter, if you approach each choice like it's a step forward, you'll start to notice something miraculous. Your life begins to respond. Opportunity finds people in motion, not people standing still. Life rewards the ones who are already building. If you're waiting for success to knock on your door before you act like you're worthy of it, you'll be waiting a very long time. But if you start living like the person you want to become, if you act today with the same standards, discipline, and clarity you imagine having someday, then you're not chasing the future, you're creating it. Every decision, no matter how small, is like a chisel in the sculptor's hand. You're shaping your life in real time. You may not see the sculpture forming immediately, but trust me, it's forming. Every decision to focus, to discipline yourself, to take a risk in service of your purpose, that's a strike of the chisel. And over time, what was once rough, formless stone becomes something undeniable, something that cannot be ignored. So if you're going to decide like it matters, decide like your future depends on it, because it does, and the moment you begin to do that, your life will feel different, not because the outside has changed, but because you've finally realized that you are the architect. You are the builder, and every decision is a brick. The question is, what are you building? Are you constructing a life of strength, purpose, and direction? Or are you throwing bricks into a pile and hoping it becomes something meaningful? You must stop waiting for certainty and start trusting in your own ability to shape your path. Move with the conviction that every decision is a step toward the life you desire. Because when you treat every choice like it matters, you rise above the ordinary. You gain control, and slowly, steadily, you become the person who no longer reacts to life, but creates it. Let's speak plainly now about something most people overlook entirely: intent, not the kind you write down and forget. I'm talking about the fire that lives behind your decisions, the reason, the why behind what you do. You see, most drift through life letting the winds push them where they may, acting only when forced, moving only when circumstances become too uncomfortable to ignore. And then they wonder why their lives feel stagnant, stuck, or worse, empty. But listen closely. Intentionality creates momentum, and without momentum, you are going nowhere fast. There is a great power that lies in making a decision with full awareness, with direction, with a purpose so strong it makes hesitation impossible. When you live with intention, your actions start to mean something. They stop being random. You begin to see your days not as tasks to survive, but as tools to shape. And when you move through life like that, everything changes. You do not need 100 perfect moves. You need one move made deliberately, with full faith in its purpose. One intentional act can carry more weight than a dozen actions taken with half your heart. Why? Because intention lights the fire. It gives you the energy to keep going when the road isn't clear, when the outcome is uncertain, and when doubt tries to creep in through the cracks of your thinking. People often say they feel tired, worn down, overwhelmed. But it's not because they've done too much. It's often because they've moved too long without direction. Motion without meaning is exhausting. It drains the spirit. But when you act with purpose, when you know why you're doing something, there's energy in that. There's focus, there's power. I've seen people with less talent, fewer resources, and heavier obstacles outperform others simply because they were more intentional. They weren't casual about their time. They weren't careless with their commitments. They showed up each day like it meant something, and because of that, they moved forward while others stood still. Momentum is not magic. It's built. It's earned. And it comes from choosing to stop living on autopilot. Ask yourself, how many of your decisions are conscious? How many of your habits are deliberate? How much of your day is spent doing what moves you closer to where you want to go versus what simply fills the hours? If you want momentum in your life, you must generate it. You must fuel it with intentional acts repeated over time. Momentum isn't created in a moment. It's built through consistency. A small action, done with unwavering purpose, beats a grand gesture done once and forgotten. Think of it like pushing a boulder. At first it's hard, it doesn't move, it feels hopeless, but you push anyway, you apply effort, not randomly, not recklessly, but with rhythm, with focus, and soon you feel it shift. Then it rolls, and then, if you keep pushing, It moves on its own, that's momentum. But it only comes to those who stay the course, who commit with intention from the very start. Let me tell you something the world won't. Life will not hand you clarity before you act. It's your action, rooted in purpose, that creates the clarity. Most people are waiting to feel ready before they move, but you don't get to wait. You don't get to wander aimlessly and still expect greatness. Greatness is born from action, guided by intent. It is created by those who are willing to start, even when the outcome is unclear, who trust that purpose is a compass, not a destination. So don't just act. Act like it matters. Move like the future is watching. Build your momentum one step at a time, one intentional choice after another. The people who win in life are not always the loudest or the most visible. They are the ones who know exactly why they're doing what they're doing. And that knowing gives them strength. It gives them speed. It gives them endurance. Your life will not change by accident. It will change when you decide that everything you do, every morning routine, every conversation, every commitment, is done with the fuel of your purpose behind it. That's how momentum begins, that's how it grows, and that's how you begin to move in the direction of something far greater than where you started. There's a common belief that we must wait for clarity before we act, that we need a complete map, a full vision, a shining sign that says this is the way. But that belief, my friends, is what keeps most people exactly where they are, frozen, waiting, wondering. You see, clarity isn't the starting point. Confidence is, and confidence, real confidence, comes not from knowing everything, but from deciding that you don't need to. It comes from moving forward anyway, because the truth is, confidence precedes clarity. If you wait for every detail to make sense before you take a step, you'll never take one. Life doesn't reward hesitation. It rewards initiative. It rewards those who have the courage to move in the direction of what they believe, even when their sight is limited. That first step, taken with courage, is the one that unlocks the next, and then the next, until what was once unclear becomes obvious in hindsight, but you'll never get there by standing still. Let me ask you, how many times have you sat on an idea, a goal, a dream, because you were waiting to be sure, waiting to feel ready? I'll tell you this, readiness is not a feeling, it's a decision. It's not something that arrives on your doorstep one morning like a package. It's something you create by acting with conviction, even in uncertainty. The men and women who build remarkable lives do not start with perfect blueprints. They start with belief. They start with a sense of direction and the willingness to walk the path even when they can't see the whole road. And as they walk, the path reveals itself. They don't let the fog of the unknown stop them. They light a fire within and use it to guide the way. Confidence is like a muscle. It doesn't appear from thin air it's built. And the way you build it is by doing the very thing you're uncertain about. You gain confidence not before the leap, but after you make the call, after you show up, after you take the risk. That's when your brain says, look what I just did. That's when the doubt begins to fade. And that's when clarity begins to rise. The mistake most people make is thinking that those who move boldly do so because they know everything will work out. But the bold never have guarantees. They have something more powerful. They have faith in their ability to figure it out as they go. And they understand that progress doesn't come from standing at the edge analyzing every possibility. It comes from jumping in and learning while you move. You will never think your way into certainty. You must act your way into it. So if you find yourself stuck, unsure, trapped in the loop of what-ifs, and I'm not ready, you're not lacking clarity, you're lacking confidence, and that's something you can change today. Start small if you must, but start. Move your feet. Lift your chin. Take that first step as if you were already the person you're trying to become. Because confidence is not arrogance, it's alignment. It's knowing that you may not have all the answers, but you trust yourself enough to begin. That kind of trust builds momentum, and as that momentum grows, so does your clarity. You start to see the connections. The fog begins to lift. What once looked complicated now feels simple, but only because you had the courage to go forward before everything made sense. The world belongs to those who lead themselves, those who act not because they know the whole journey, but because they know the next step is theirs to take. And when you take it, no matter how small, you send a message to yourself and to life. I am not here to wait. I am here to move. So stop waiting for the path to light up and start moving like it already has. Act with the confidence that the way will become clear, because it will. That is the nature of all worthy pursuits. The path reveals itself not to the cautious, but to the courageous. Now, let me tell you something that most people never take the time to understand. Your mindset shapes your motion. Your outer world, the direction you're moving in, the results you're getting, they all begin with the quiet conversation you're having inside your own head. You may think it's action that drives change, and that's partly true, but action doesn't come first. Belief does. The way you think, the lens through which you view the world, is what either fuels your movement or paralyzes it. Most people wake up each day and move according to the weight of their fears, not the pull of their vision. They let doubt do the driving. They let hesitation be their guide, and they wonder why life feels like a loop. Same results, same patterns, same frustrations. But that isn't life punishing them. That's their mindset holding them still. If you walk around believing your decisions don't matter, you'll start making them carelessly. You'll treat each day like it's disposable. You'll react instead of create. But when you adopt the mindset that every choice holds weight, that every step is part of something greater, you begin to move differently. You speak with intention. You act with urgency. You no longer make decisions based on fear or comfort. You make them based on alignment with who you want to become. That shift in mindset is everything. The strongest people you see, those with clarity, direction, power in their presence, they didn't get that way by accident. They decided that their mindset would serve their mission. They trained their thinking to match the vision they were chasing. They didn't wait to feel ready. They told themselves they were ready, and by believing it, they became it. If you believe life is against you, you'll move cautiously, defensively, always protecting, never expanding. But if you believe life responds to your effort, your faith, your persistence, then you move boldly. You take risks, you try again, you stretch, and even when you fail forward. Why? Because your mind is focused on the destination, not the detour. This is why two people can face the same challenge and respond in completely different ways. One freezes, the other grows. One asks, what if I fail? The other asks, what might I become if I try? The challenge didn't change, the conditions didn't change, the mindset changed, and that shift determined the motion. You see, your mind is the soil and your decisions are the seeds. If your thinking is limited, no matter how hard you work, those seeds won't grow into anything meaningful. But when you cultivate belief, real, deep-rooted belief, you create a space where progress can take root and expand. This is not about being blindly optimistic. It's about taking full responsibility for the atmosphere you create within yourself. You wouldn't plant a seed in dry soil and blame the seed when it doesn't grow. But people do that to themselves all the time. They carry doubt, fear, and hesitation in their thoughts, and then wonder why their efforts aren't moving them forward. Change the atmosphere, and you change the outcome. And the beautiful thing is, this mindset is not something you're born with. It's something you build day by day, thought by thought. You build it when you speak to yourself with strength instead of self-pity. You build it when you choose to focus on what you can do, not what you can't. You build it when you face failure and say, "This is not the end. This is part of the process." Emotion doesn't just come from movement. It comes from meaning, and meaning begins in the mind, the way you think about yourself, your potential, your decisions. That is what determines your speed, your direction, and your endurance. When your mindset is strong, your motion becomes unstoppable. So if you want to change your life, start by changing your thoughts. Talk to yourself like someone worth listening to. See each day as a gift. Treat each challenge as a teacher. And walk through life with the firm belief that you are not here to shrink, but to rise. Now let's speak of something most people overlook while they chase success, something quiet yet incredibly powerful. Consistency compounds progress. Not the flash of a big breakthrough, not the rush of a sudden win, but the steady, disciplined effort repeated day after day. That's what builds greatness. That's what separates those who rise from those who remain where they started. You see, the world often glorifies intensity. People love the idea of the overnight transformation, the dramatic leap, the sudden surge forward. But what they forget, what they often refuse to see, is that every overnight success was years in the making. The grand result is built on thousands of tiny, quiet acts. Acts that required no applause, acts that demanded no spotlight, acts that were often inconvenient, uncelebrated, even unseen. Progress does not happen in bursts. It unfolds gradually, quietly, and most importantly, it compounds. Each step you take, no matter how small, stacks upon the last. The momentum builds almost invisibly at first. But just because you cannot see it doesn't mean it isn't there. The mistake so many people make is quitting too early, abandoning the process because the payoff hasn't arrived yet. But success is not a lottery, it's a ledger. It rewards those who deposit effort day after day, long after the initial excitement has faded. Now think about this. What if you approached your daily habits as investments instead of chores? What if every morning you woke up and chose to take one intentional action, however small, toward your future? Read one page, make one call, take one walk, speak one truth. These acts may seem insignificant on their own, but strung together with consistency, they form a thread so strong it can pull you toward any goal you set. It's not about doing it all at once. It's about doing what matters long enough for it to matter. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, every time you show up when it would have been easier not to, you're building something that lasts. You're not just building discipline, you're building trust, trust in yourself, and that kind of trust becomes fuel. It becomes strength. It becomes the very foundation you stand on when the world gets shaky. Don't be fooled by the speed of others. Don't be discouraged by how far you still have to go. If you're consistent, you're already ahead of most. The world is full of people who start fast and fade out. They act with energy for a day or two, then vanish when it gets hard or when no one is watching. But you can choose a different path. You can choose to be steady. You can choose to become the person who moves forward not when it's easy, but because it's necessary. And let me remind you, there's no such thing as standing still. Every decision either moves you forward or holds you back. Consistency ensures that you keep leaning into your future. It keeps your life in motion. Even on the days when progress feels invisible, your effort is shaping something. Think of the tree that grows beneath the surface before a single leaf breaks through. Think of the stone slowly shaped by water, persistent, unwavering, and inevitable. That's the power of consistency, not glamorous, not loud, but unstoppable. So ask yourself, what would change if you simply refused to quit? If you committed to the process regardless of how long it took? What if you stopped measuring your worth by immediate results and started measuring it by your willingness to keep going? Because when you stay consistent, you become someone who can be counted on, not just by others, but by yourself. And that self-trust, that quiet certainty, creates a ripple effect in every area of your life. Relationships improve, confidence grows, goals start to materialize, not because of one big push, but because of hundreds of small, steady ones. You don't need to be perfect, you just need to keep showing up. You don't need to have it all figured out, you just need to take the next right step. Again and again, the secret is not intensity, the secret is consistency. Because that's what compounds, that's what multiplies, that's what turns effort into excellence. Let me speak plainly to you now, because this truth, if you truly hear it, will change how you live from this moment forward. Your future is shaped in the present. Not tomorrow, not next year, not when things settle down or when the timing is right. The future you dream of, the life you hope to build, is being formed right here, right now, in the decisions you make today. Most people look at their future as something distant, something that will eventually come together if they keep moving, if they stay alive long enough. But they miss the mark entirely. The future isn't waiting for you. It is being built by you moment by moment, choice by choice, and if you truly grasp that, you will never treat a single decision lightly again. When you walk through life as if today matters, as if this very moment is part of something greater, you begin to live with urgency, with clarity, with purpose. You stop wasting time. You stop making excuses. You stop handing over your power to circumstances and begin using your power to create circumstances. The man who succeeds isn't simply lucky. He is prepared, he is consistent, he is present, and because he is present, he plants seeds today that will bloom tomorrow. He doesn't wait for signs. He acts as if what he does matters, because it does. He understands that each act of discipline today is a doorway to freedom later. Each sacrifice now is an investment in a richer, fuller life down the road. People often ask, what does it take to change my future? They want a step-by-step plan, a secret shortcut, some flash of inspiration. But the truth is this: you change your future by changing how you show up today. You want a better life in 5 years, then make a better choice in the next 5 minutes. You want success that lasts, then do the small things now that most ignore, because the small things shape the big things. There's no leap into a great life. There is only a steady climb built by deliberate effort in the present. The food you eat today becomes the body you walk in tomorrow. The thoughts you think today become the lens through which you view your world. The habits you form today become the foundation for everything you do, and understand this: there's no neutral ground. Each day, you're either feeding your future or starving it. Every action is either a step toward your vision or a step away. That's not meant to scare you, it's meant to awaken you, because once you see your present as the raw material for your future, you begin to take your days seriously. You no longer move through them half-ass, repeating patterns that no longer serve you. This moment, right now, holds power, not because it is extraordinary, but because it exists. And because it exists, you can shape it. You can bring intention into it. You can use it as a launching pad rather than a lull. Most waste the present because it feels ordinary, but the ordinary is where the extraordinary is born. The future is not a magical place you arrive at. It's something you're sculpting with every word you speak, every action you take, every boundary you hold, every standard you uphold. You must begin to live as if your future is watching, because it is. Every decision you make today echoes into who you become. That means you have power right now. Power to shift the course, power to step out of the patterns that have kept you stuck. Power to start again, wiser, stronger, clearer. Stop asking for a sign. You are the sign. The proof is in the fact that you are still here, breathing, capable. The next step is yours. The future you long for does not come knocking on your door. It waits patiently for you to become the person who can step into it. That becoming happens in the present, so make it count. Don't wait for a perfect moment. Don't wait until the fear leaves. Move, decide, act, build. Because the future isn't written in the stars. It's written in the steps you take today.